Committee will come to order. Today we are considering two good government measures. We will consider a bill to strengthen cybersecurity in the federal government and a bill aimed at better measuring the federal government's performance. We also will consider several post office naming bills and commemoratives resolutions. The committee's first agenda item today is H.R. 4900, the Federal Information Security Amendment Act of 2010. This bill was introduced by Representative Watson on March 22, 2010, and forwarded to the full committee as amended by the Subcommittee on Government Management, Organization, and Procurement on May 5, 2010. The Federal Information Security Management Act was enacted in 2002 as part of the E-Government Act. FISMA requires federal agencies to assess the state of their information security management each year by conducting periodic risk assessments, categorizing risk, maintaining a detailed inventory of all information systems, and training employees in security awareness. While FISMA has been an effective tool in improving information security, GAO continues to report persistent weaknesses that require updated legislation. Moreover, cyber threats and attacks against federal information systems have continued to grow in both volume and intensity in recent years. That is why the committee has taken up H.R. 4900, a bill that codifies the multiple policy recommendations made by the Obama administration, public-private sector working groups, and GAO for fixing security deficiencies throughout the federal government. Among other things, this bill would establish a National Office of Cyberspace with a director to be appointed by the President and subject to the Senate confirmation. H.R. 4900 also requires agencies to begin automated and continuous monitoring of their systems, a requirement that the Obama administration recently issued instructions on in April. In closing, I want to take the time to acknowledge Ms. Watson, not only for introducing this bill, but also for her hard work in moving it forward. I want to thank the staff likewise, and I want to thank Mr. Conley for his efforts to improve the bill, particularly as it relates to codifying the position of Federal Chief Technology Officer. I support that provision, and I'm glad it was added at the subcommittee markup a few weeks ago. Last but not least, I want to thank Mr. Issa and his staff for working with me and my staff to refine H.R. 4900. This has truly been a bipartisan effort. This is a very good bill, and I strongly urge the rest of my colleagues to join me in supporting it. Now I yield to the ranking member of the committee, the gentleman from California, Congressman Issa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And as you said, a lot of work on a bipartisan basis has gone into taking an extremely good initiative led by Subcommittee Chairwoman Watson and worked by both of our staffs. Every day in America, individuals and our government are under attack. The cyberspace boon has been a boon to industries, innovation, and government access. At the same time, it is clear that with these great advancements have come great risk. Since the establishment of FISMA, the Internet has gone a long way, not all of it in a good direction. So as we seek to create a permanent director to oversee an ever greater threat from both within and without, we need to have this kind of oversight by this committee and this kind of innovation and perspiration by people like Diane Watson. So I, first of all, would like to join with you in thanking the gentlelady from California. Additionally, I would like to thank your staff for the diligent work, the amendments that are being offered and mutually agreed to were worked on a bipartisan basis, were difficult because this is a difficult area in which the threat is still emerging. But I join with the Chairman in urging all to vote for it and yield back.
I thank the gentleman from California for his statement. Any other members seeking recognition? The gentlewoman from California, the author of the bill.
Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, thank you for holding today's markup on my legislation, H.R. 4900, the Federal Information Security Amendments Act of 2010. I appreciate your enthusiastic support for the legislation and our collective efforts to strengthen our government-wide cybersecurity posture. Since the enactment of the Federal Information Security Reform Act more than 7 years ago, our committee has been proactive in its oversight of the federal government's plans and policies for combating cyberplace threats of all kinds. While these efforts detail significant vulnerabilities and threats against government information technology assets, until recently there was little agreement on how to develop a more comprehensive policy framework for securing our federal cyber enterprise. Fortunately, today's markup of H.R. 4900 is another critical step forward in our efforts to establish a more comprehensive and effective cybersecurity governance policy for the federal government. I believe the bill and the proposed substitute amendment before us achieves our goal of establishing a comprehensive cybersecurity framework that will serve the federal government well for years to come. A major component of H.R. 4900 includes the establishment of a national office for cyberspace within the Executive Office of the President for overseeing and enforcing cybersecurity policy across our agencies. I believe the proposed office's structure and agency participation mechanisms will make information security a more inclusive and collaborative effort among all stakeholder parties and ensure that our agencies have a strong government-wide leader to assist them in their efforts. Furthermore, the bill before us today does more ably reflect our technical capabilities for combating current and emerging threats through new system monitoring requirements and information assurance practices. In order to alleviate particular concerns expressed by some in the vendor community, I'm glad to say that the substitute amendment to be considered shortly includes refinements to ensure that all policies and procedures will remain flexible enough to incorporate new or emergency technologies and remain non-discriminatory in their design and application. Other key provisions in this legislation include new information security requirements for our agency acquisition practices, as well as a proposal by Congressman Connolly to codify the establishment of a federal chief technology officer. Although our enemy is a moving target, I believe these changes as a whole will improve our government's ability to coordinate and defend against the current and emerging cyber threat landscape. In closing, I want to extend my gratitude to you, Chairman Towns, to you, the ranking member, ISA, and my subcommittee ranking member, Mr. Bilbray, as you know, who just recently lost his mother and has not been with us for a few days. And I also want to thank for helping us to shape the legislation that we have before us today, and I ask for its favorable consideration. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your statement. And, of course, if there's no other members seeking recognition, I now call up H.R. 4900.
H.R. 4900, a bill to amend Chapter 35 of Title 44 United States Code to create the National Office for Cyberspace, to revise requirements relating to federal information security and for other purposes.
I have a manager's amendment at the desk.
Amendment in the nature of a substitute to H.R. 4900, offered by Mr. Towns of New York and Mr. Isa of California.
Without objection, the amendment is considered as read. I ask unanimous consent that the substitute amendment be adopted and considered as original text. Without objection, so ordered. I yield myself 5 minutes. This amendment is truly a bipartisan one. In addition to making a number of technical edits and enhancements to the bill, it gives the Director of National Office for Cyberspace hiring authority and outlines a time frame for their office to be established. The amendment also broadens the scope of minimum security requirements for products and services to be used in agencies' information systems. It encourages the Federal Cybersecurity Practice Board to engage with the international community on information security and industry partners on information sharing. This is a good amendment, and even more so, a good example of working together across the aisle to find middle ground and create a strong bipartisan product. Are there any? I yield to actually the ranking member. I'm taking this bipartisan stuff too far, huh?
Not a bit, not a bit, Mr. Chairman. You've said it all. This is a mutually agreed and completely vetted amendment. I urge all my colleagues to vote for it. I believe that it has taken a good piece of work done by the gentlelady from California and perfected it, and with that, I yield back.
Hearing no amendments, the question is on agreeing to the H.R. 4900 as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. In the opinion of the Chair, the ayes have it, and H.R. 4900 as amended is agreed to. Without objections, H.R. 4900 as amended is ordered reported favorably